Hey, what's going on, Monster Hunter community? I wanted to talk with you guys today and kind of get your input on this as well. But I personally feel like the secondary weapons implementation into Monster Hunter Wilds is a genius idea that hasn't been fully fleshed out. It needs a couple of tweaks for it to really thrive in this game. Right now, let's face it, guys. The majority of us don't even bat an eye at our secondary weapon. The majority of us are just going into the hunt and just using one weapon the entire goddamn time. And I think we can address the elephant of the room of that reasoning and thought process. It's because, well, getting on the bird to switch over to a weapon as the only means of switching over to a weapon, it's just fucking annoying. It disrupts the flow of the fight. And by the time you get out that other weapon, if you were rocking like a paralysis build or something, you paralyze them, switch over to the other weapon. By the time you finish with that animation, the monster's not paralyzed anymore. And so, like, the really only effective means of a secondary weapon right now in this game is if you're trying to put them to sleep with a bowgun. You switch over to that, again, annoying disruption of flow while you're waiting for that to happen, and then you go back to your other weapon and wake them up. I haven't done that yet personally, but I can definitely see that being an option. Another option is maybe you're rocking dual elemental weapons, and there's some very niche and specific monsters in the game that actually do have a good amount of susceptibility to two different elements. And so you kind of like switch over to the it's like you're kind of forcing it, you know what I mean? There's not a real incentive. It's unfortunate because when I first heard of this idea being pitched to me, I imagined myself switching these weapons in the middle of battle without having to get on a bird to then inflict them with a status element and then go back to the other weapon and continue popping off. In fact, I think that should still be how it should exist. That's more fun and enjoyable. It doesn't matter if it makes you more stronger. It's about, are you having fun? And they can always ramp up the difficulty of the monsters as well. I personally think that in order for this idea to thrive, we should be able to switch our weapons in the midst of combat, like on the fly. And I also think that on Capcom's behalf, they need to do a better job with monster designs that kind of elegantly force you to use a secondary weapon. Does that make sense? Let me elaborate a little bit. Let me cook a little bit. What I mean by that is, if you're going to do this secondary system, you've already spent the development time on it. You may as well design monsters in the future similar to Elatrian, where you enter a phase of the fight where you will get one tapped if you don't do this particular thing. And that particular thing kind of involves you switching over to a different element to prevent yourself from being one shot, or switching over to a ranged weapon because the monster's in the air, and if you don't shoot them down from the air, they're gonna wipe you. They're gonna kill you. This forces you to learn other classes in a kind of an elegant way because it's not crazy. It's just, hey, do enough damage to this bird on his wings. He's going to drop down. You can go back to using your other weapon. It's like a good little gateway entry to introducing people who are one-trick ponies to other classes. Does that make sense? Another thing I thought of is it all kind of revolves around one-shot mechanics, similar to like when you do MMOs and stuff. Oh, if you don't put this monster to sleep, he's entering this new phase that's changing the entire atmosphere of the map you're battling him in. And now his armor has been hardened so much that you can't even do damage to him. So you have to put him to sleep. And if you don't put him to sleep, he's just going to kill you. So you put him to sleep with the bowgun, wake him up, boom. And the fight is just much more immersive. And it also gives that fight a sense of a unique identity exclusive to it. So it's not like I'm saying every monster going forward needs to be designed this way, but some big fights could be designed that way in order to create a sense of immersion, a sense of purpose for this secondary weapon system. I want to know y'all's feedback about it because I've thought about this for a good deal of time, and I'm just like, man, I just want a purpose. I just want a reason to use my greatsword, right? Kicking ass, boom, boom, boom. But now he enters this different phase of this fight, and I'm like, oh shit, I have to use a ranged weapon or some weapon that has shelling or sticky or cluster explosive ammo, because that's the only means of me fighting this monster for the next 3 minutes. Otherwise, I'm gonna get clapped. I want a purpose for these secondary weapons. It's a great idea, but there's not a real incentive to make that pop. That's gonna wrap it up. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, for about 5 minutes long, but I think I got the message across. Anyways, I want to hear y'all's input. I do. I genuinely want to hear what the community thinks about it, at least my community, as it's ever so growing. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, and happiness. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.